entire world is going to crumble financially. This current setup that we have, and we're going to go into a brand new monetary system.
Hey, this is Unrefined Podcast. I'm Brandon Spain, your host, with co-host Lindsay Waters. Welcome to another episode. Hey everybody, we are here today with Michael Putris. Enoch is his handle on social media, and we are super excited today to get to hear his take on what's going on in the world. Just a lot of stuff that's happening recently and perhaps towards the end times. And I've come to know him on a podcasters group, and he's a great guy, and he's been on our friends at Camp Herman and talked with them about some of this kind of stuff, and is actually their editor. And anyway, so I wanted to get him on here and pick his brain and see what's going on in the world. And Lindsay is here. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, woo, let's go.
Yeah. All in, yeah. Michael, give us briefly what got you into this researching what you've been researching all these years, the background behind that.
It's been a long road because I'm very stubborn, or as they say in the Bible, thick-necked. In 2004, my ex and I, we split up, and she immediately started using the children as weapons. Like I can't see them, using them for basically just isolating us, right, from each other. So my kids, who I was very close to, my youngest one was really just developing. She was 2 years old. My oldest was 4, and we were very close because I'm a silly dad. I'm a lot of fun to be around with, and our relationship with my ex had just deteriorated, and just so everyone knows, I wasn't perfect, right? My biggest problem is I'm perfectly fine sitting in a messy area. It doesn't bother me at all, but that bothered her, for example, and because of that, she felt like she was living with a second child, or a third child, excuse me. And so again, not saying that I'm pretty sure that was pretty annoying for her, but in that separation, she used the children as weapons, which is not okay. And so I tried to navigate through that, and then in 2000, I finally, because when you love your children and they're taken from you, it's devastating to you. You have no idea. You have no idea how many nights, how long you sit in the dark and you're crying because you miss your kids, and you need lots of money to get someone to fight for you in this Babylonian world we live in. So,
and I imagine that there's not much help for husbands as there is for
there's
wives.
No help there is no help for men. Back then, no help for men. And but hey, it turned me into the person I am today. So I did have a nice roommate for a little bit, and she really helped me. Just a roommate, just a friend. Yeah, because but we were very close friends. Still to this day, she emails me. She was a Christian at the time, and still is. But I wasn't. But I was starting to come to God. And in 2005, I ended up having a dream. And in this dream, I'm walking down a dirt road in Alberta. And in Alberta, we have these rolling hills and valleys, right? And I'm by myself, and I can see the mountains in the far distance, and the Rocky Mountains, for if you want to know the picture. But anyway, so dirt road and Rocky Mountains in the far distance. Like, it's a long walk, and this bus drives by and pulls over, and I walk on this along the side of the school bus, and it's not a short bus; it's a full bus. Um, and I walk along it, and the doors open, and I look in, and it's Jesus Christ sitting at the driver's seat, and he's saying, "Get on." And I wake up, and so I start to look into Christianity a little bit. I start to, I talk about it. My mother is a minister for the United Church, so that's Church Light. I keep telling her, I'll come to watch your sermons when you start preaching on Revelation. All right, because she does all the, God loves you and Jesus loves you. And by no means am I saying my mom is any more evil than any of us, right? She just is under the whole belief structure that God is love, right? Because that's what she was taught in her education when she went to become a minister. So I start talking about it, and I start to bring it up to my friends. And I have one friend who is very much not a Christian, and he, in his very clever way, he was a master manipulator. We're not friends anymore, and he steered me away from it. And I never, so I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, totally, that makes sense, right? And then, so in 2008 or 2007, 2008, I met another woman, and we got on, and my life was starting to rebuild, and I was starting to get some traction. I graduated from broadcasting school, and I got a decent position in a small company, so I could do a lot. I could do pretty much everything, and that's what I did. Like I did camera work, I did audio, I did editing, I did producing. Like I did it all. So I got a lot of practice. But my ex thought I was rolling in the dough, and still using the children as tools of torture. But I would see them basically 4 days a month. And at this time, and most of you, when you listen to this, you are listening to the education that you've received from the people who are creating tax credits on a family law system. So basically creating massive wealth. So when I get into this, you need to understand that I know exactly what's going on. So make sure you get to the end before you start judging. So at the time, my ex came to me and said, you need to start paying me child support. And I said, no, I don't have to pay you child support. I will raise my children with you. Right. So if there are any bills, we can look at those bills together. We can make those choices together, and we'll move forward that way. You don't need, I'm paying for this house here. You kicked me out of that house. You're responsible for that house. I'm responsible for my house. I'm not paying for two houses, basically, right? So when they have school bills, we split those bills. When we have to buy clothing, we will go and we will buy them clothing, right? I am a part of this family. And because she's using the children, and I have no say. I'm just a man. This is really what she said to me. I'm just a man. I have no responsibility in raising children because men are violent and I shouldn't be anywhere near children. That tells you something about her past, if you read between the lines. So, anyway, so I just said, well, if you're keeping me out, then you're keeping me out. I'm not paying you to raise my children. So that was that, and that's where I sit to this day, just so everyone is clear. More than happy to, but any sort of court judgments, anything like that doesn't mean anything to me. In a situation where you are split up, you need to treat the mother with respect and dignity, and you need to treat the father with respect and dignity. And when that happens, you can raise a well-balanced child. I mean, it's better when you're together, but if such a thing should happen, then they're in, and sometimes it will be difficult. You'll read things differently, right? But you need to work together. And I was completely removed. And then when I said no, and she ended up filing for court. Like, this is kind of how crazy it was. She put in a affidavit because she wanted a protection order, that I was across the street, sitting in my car, waiting for her to come home so I could stab her. And luckily, because my children were being used as weapons and I wasn't seeing them and it was driving me crazy, I was talking to a doctor at the time, at that very time where she said I'm across the street, where she put this in a protection order. Now, if someone is sitting outside, this is just so we can understand what, how genuine people, when people make their choices, you can understand how genuine and how much they really believe something. So in the protection order, so if I'm across the street, sitting in a car waiting to stab someone, do you call your lawyer first? No, you call the police. So anyway, I'm sitting at work now. This is a couple of days later, and I get this order that I can't be have any contact with them. I was outside of the house waiting to stab them, says a witness. And so I'm like, what is going on? So absolutely floored me, absolutely rocked me. Like I crumbled, and I saw the writing on the wall. I didn't see my kids at all. Probably for a full collection of, before they're adults. I don't see them at all now, but before they're adults, I didn't see them for almost all their life, 10 years. Combined. Anyway, so in 2009, we ended up going to court, and she went up to going to court. And so I'm like, what's going on here? How is what she's doing? How is this allowed to happen? Like taking me to court, and she's doing all this stuff to me, right? That's got to be illegal. There isn't. I mean, it technically is, but there is no protection for fathers, right? So if someone is keeping you from your child, you really have no recourse, unless you really know the law, right? And you do it yourself, because the police won't help you. They won't file for you. The courts won't file for you. They won't push something through unless they're getting money from you, right? So, because the whole thing about the court system is, you need to facilitate judgments, because judgments create tax credits, so the courts can make lots of money. And so I began studying all this stuff. So I knew enough right away that what's going on is monetarily based. So I didn't know enough to argue in court, but I knew enough to. And you never argue in court, just so we're clear. You have everything set up before you even go, so that there is no argument. They have nothing to argue. If you go to argue in court, you've already lost. And so basically, I learned quickly, how the monetary system kind of works. Now, if you ever hear from people and they say money is made from nothing, stop listening to them. Because they're just parroting what they've heard from someone else. You need to hear how the money is actually made, right? So, how is money made? So if someone says that, well, sure, it's made from nothing, but there has to be some sort of process. What's that process? And if they can't tell you, stop listening to them, because they don't know. They don't know how government finance works. And they're just parroting. Oh, I'm giving you a whole bunch of stuff, and you just asked me, how did I get here? I apologize. So anyway, through all this stuff, I started looking at government finance. I got strong enough in it that I ran for a member of parliament, which is our federal, in Canada here, it's our federal system. I ran for member of parliament in 2019. I lost. I was only 50,000 votes shy of winning, and in 75,000, I think it was, or 100,000. Anyway, and then I became a Christian in 2020 when I realized I just saw what government was doing, and I started researching, and I got into some of the deeper stuff, found the giants, the prophets, and realized, oh my goodness, God is real. And then I just started launching into what's going on today, because I have the government finance background. So I know when people are lying because they don't go into the honesty of the acts and statutes that are released. So I follow people that way, and now I see the entire world is going to crumble financially. This current setup that we have, and we're going to go into a brand new monetary system. We're going to switch to two systems. We're going to go into the World Economic Forum system first to scare everyone, and then they'll bring in the real beast system, which is the AI-controlled monetary system. And we're in for a ride. Anyway, so that's what got me started. It all came from great pain, but now we're doing some, I'm able to do something about it and understand what's going on very well. Yeah.
So, in some of the other interviews that I've heard you talk about, and this is why I really wanted to have you on our show, is so much out there there's this myth that there is a good side and a bad side, that there is I just actually quoted this lady today, or actually commented. I'm sure it'll end up in an argument, but I'll end that. But, I mean, she was just like, anyway, shoot that rabbit. So there's a good guy, bad guy. A lot of this came from Q and Anon and the white hat, the black hats, all that. So why is all that kind of stuff important to know with what's going on and what's going to come out of the whole situation?
So like, why is the white hat, black hat narrative being used? Is that what you mean?
But basically it's interesting because I see the white hat deceiving loads of Christians.
Yeah.
Loads.
That's because they use the word Jesus. They think it means something from them, right?
Well, and you had all these shucksters that put out these prophetic words that Trump was going to get reelected, and he's the savior, and blah blah blah. But anyway, so that's what attracted me, because you can ask Lindsay, when Trump was elected, I told him, I said, there's something not right about this. I mean, I'm not saying that on the outside I don't agree with more what Trump is doing politically. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But it seems like to me that there is two competing cabals that are trying to take over the world. I said this back in 2016, 2017. And it just seemed suspicious to me. And I always figured that, at the time, Hillary and Trump were the same coin, different sides. Mm-hmm. And so as we've seen that people being sucked into the Q and the Anon movement, how is all that important in setting up what's to come?
All right. So
is that clear like mud?
No, I got you. I need like 4-word questions for this attention span. All right. So,
I understand. I get it.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's look at a few definitions then. Okay. Right, so we have Q, right, and we have the Anons, so they're separate, and then what we keep seeing these memes with white hat, black hat, right, mm-hmm. And we are already trained to think dualistically in a dualistic mind. So let me give you an example that is away from this white hat, black hat, and it is understanding government finance, because this is how I figured everything out. So in the United States, there was the talk of basically paying off everyone's tuition. That was last year, I think.
Yeah.
All right. So the one side said, no, you took out a loan, you need to pay it. The left side is, tuition shouldn't cost this much. This is basically economic torture, and I'm not paying it. Both are right and both are wrong, because you need a little bit of right and you need a little bit of wrong for one side to pick it. You need a little bit of right and a little bit of wrong on the other side for people to pick it. And basically, so you'll get the conservative people picking you took out a loan, you need to pay it. And then you have the liberal side saying things shouldn't cost this much, I'm not going to pay it. Instead of let's negotiate a better rate, right? Let's negotiate I'm not paying it, right? So that is wrong. You took out something. Now, so a duality is created in this situation. One side of the media will be, which is the conservative side, and the other side of the media, which is the liberal side. right? And that's what you hear. So that's what people will argue and talk about, because people are parrots. They just argue and talk about what they've heard. They don't think about what they've heard. They don't read. They won't pick up the laws that state in government finance what is actually going on. So when somebody takes out those loans, right, that money, a contract is made, and that contract is based on value, right? There's a few things that create that value. Number one is when you go to school, you become, in theory, you become a educated person, so you'll be a benefit to society. So then that is something that you can invest in. You're investing on futures with that. So then
Right.
tax credits. So there is value. Government sees value in that. So then tax credits can be created to pay for that education. Now, the banks that you get these loans from, they're not giving you their money. You personally, with your signature, are creating the tax credits. The bank is the middleman. You don't need the bank. You personally are creating those tax credits to create that loan, right? So it goes through the government. Goes through the bank. The bank is the third party. And then you are supposed to pay the government back because you agree on the contract that you will pay them this money. So when you understand that the tax credits created this, that the banks didn't give you any of their property, you really don't owe anything. But there is a debt that has been created. So in reality, you could just create tax credits to wipe out that debt. The same way that tax credits were created to create that debt. Once you have a debt, it is in your name, then you can take that debt and you can write out a new contract, send that into the CRA or the IRS. CRA is Canada.
Yeah.
And they can create the tax credits to pay for it. And all that does is balance it out. That balances out the debt that they say you owe. Because a debt was created upon debt, right? They're using futures to create that debt. There's no value, right? So there's no real value. It's futures. It's your perceived value. And if you're taking a women's lib course, you're going to be brainwashed, and you're going to be pretty much useless, worthless to the future. You're going to be a detriment. You're going to be a roadblock for advancement. So the other thing too is that bank that you have can take on the back end all of the debt that they create and create tax credits for them to build. I'm probably going a little too deep, but they can create tax credits to do other things within government, to pay for other government contracts. And because what happens is that corporation then is a co-surety and the government is a co-surety as well in that contract that you signed. So that as a co-surety, then you have the benefit to use that registered debt to create tax credits for whatever purpose you see fit. Whether, for example, you want to build dams in the earth, you can do that by creating tax credits and pay for it that way. So all the people that are digging the tunnels, all of the contractors who are doing that, right? It's trillions upon trillions of dollars. And how do you do that? How do you do that without including the population? Well, you do it in the back end. Just like when you go to a website, the website has a back end that you can't see. You can't see all the work going on behind it. That's how they do it there. So coming back to the question, again, it's just because you really need to understand the background to understand what I'm saying. So if you understand how the tax credits are created and convert into currency, then you understand that the tuition is just created for something for both sides to argue about and choose a side. Everything that is brought in front, you have Fox, which is junk news, and you have CNN, which is junk news, or NBC, or it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're all the same. You're not getting any real news from them. You're just seeing narratives. So if you're watching news, just look at what narrative they're delivering to you, and know that it is manipulation to invoke a response from you, and they will have the answers later on down the road for you to choose. So it's the duality. So when you look at the white hat, will always look to give you something that is virtuous, that you want, freedom, and
making America great again.
Mega. And mega is the fifth level of satanic priesthood. So, and then where we go one, we go all is directly under that. Where do you think you're going? You're going to hell. Where we go one, we go all. Mega. Satanic worship. You follow mega, you're going to hell. That's what that's telling you. So, and people are like, yeah, yay. So, and look it up. Just go to the satanic website, or go to the wiki if you don't want to go straight to their website, and they will give you the 5 levels. And in India, they also have the same levels, and mega is used, or Magnus. It's not Magnus in India, but they do have mega, and it is also the 5th level of priesthood. So they're on the same side, basically. So, all right. Now, so with the white hat, what the white hat is delivering to you for you to choose, right, is abundance and freedom. And what the other side is doing, the black hat, right, that is seeming virtuous and just wanting to help with the injections, for example, and the medical stuff that we have. You want our medicine. You want all this stuff. So that's the Canaanite black hat that has been in power the last 120 years. And what's fooling people is, you want this medicine. No, this medicine is poison, and it's derived from oil, right? Because you can take oil and it's very malleable in the chemistry. So oil can change into various number of medications, right? So when you take something that is created synthetically, it's most likely 100% derived from oil. Petroleum products. Yeah. So the black hats are trying to give you safety, right? Safety, but always their safety is under scarcity. So we only have a little bit of this. We only have so much of this. So we got to be careful with it. So then you could be charged, because of that narrative, you can be charged tons of money, and people go, oh yeah, okay, well that makes sense. Right? So that's the black hat, right? Where like you're paying million. I'm sorry, I'm using a voice and fingers you can't see as I tap my fingers together like I'm Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. But that's the black hat. So they charge you, but you get a reason, you get an excuse with the black hats on why things cost so much. You get an excuse but everything is reason so that you will agree, right? So and that's why we're now at the place where depopulation through assisted suicide is okay. And if you're feeling a little down, we understand you want to end your life. So we'll help you, right? That's where we are in Canada, right? That's going around. So, but that's how we get here with these so-called black hats. And then the white hats are abundance, right? I mean, who doesn't want abundance, right? Abundance is great, but it is abundance without restriction. So this abundance that is coming, and none of us, we don't have attention spans. We don't have the ability to think for ourselves. We continuously go to our media or the new media to get our information. And so with this abundance, we're also going to get instruction with this abundance. So when you look at Hillary Clinton, for example, in that, or now it is Biden or Donald Trump, each one is backing one of those options. So they're not actually for you. And if you know if you know the person's name in this so-called leadership, they're not in charge of anything. Just so we're clear, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
if you know their name, they're not in charge of anything. They signed a contract to get where they are, and they and also a satanic contract. They are demonically charged. They are demonically instructed when they move forward in their plans. So
It's almost like Satan. I mean, we really don't even know the Satan's real name.
mhm,
In the Bible, it's not listed. I mean, we've claimed Lucifer, but Lucifer's really not the Satan. And
Nope.
so, same with elites that are in charge, you really don't know their name. It's like Harry Potter, the him who should not be named, sort of. It's behind the scenes, right?
mhm,
Is that a
100%.
good example? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lucifer is a term created by the Freemasons, like this Canaanite Freemason order that was created in 1390 or something like that.
Right.
So yeah, if you know Gary Wayne, for example, he has put it all together in the Genesis 6 conspiracy book. But Freemasonry has been around since the antediluvian times, because what they practice in Freemasonry is the same religious structure, same ritual structure that has been practiced since the antediluvian times. So Freemasonry has been around forever. It's not going away once they get rid of all these mundane Freemasons. That's just the facilitation into the new world order that we're going in. So yeah, I tell people we're going into this new world. The new world order is coming. The Great Reset is coming, and no, we're being saved by the white hats. That's not what's happening. They're being destroyed right now. And you try to tell them, but yeah, I'm crazy for seeing both sides. Anyway.
Well, kind of what I see, Enoch, here is almost this sort of the pattern you're seeing is this sort of trap where, at least for us, we're looking left and running from the black hats into the arms of the white hats,
100%,
who offer us salvation, but their plan isn't any different at the end of the day than the black hats. Does that sum it up pretty well?
The end is no different. How we get there is different.
Yeah.
Because you got to choose something, right?
How does that relate to kind of maybe it doesn't, I don't know, the whole Hegelian dialectic, the whole problem, reaction, solution?
Okay, so problem, reaction, solution is a extremely simplified way to explain the Hegelian dialectic. Right. So if you look at its thesis, antithesis, or antithesis, if you want to bother people, and synthesis. So
synthesis, yeah.
Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. So if you take the Hegelian dialectic, so yeah, problem, reaction, solution. So how people know it today is a problem is created, you wait for the public to react, and then you show them the solution. Thesis is, so there is a theory, there's this theory, and then there's the opposite theory, and then the synthesis is, if you meld both of these together, you will eventually reach ultimate truth. Because everyone has to know some bit of truth, right? So this is how true Christianity, or following Yahushua HaMashiach, I just use the word Christianity because that's what everybody understands it as. But I just say I follow Yahushua HaMashiach, I follow Jesus Christ, because Christianity it's an English, it's a created word. So I'm perfectly fine just saying I follow the Bible. I've been born again. I don't need to put born again Christian. I am born again. I follow Yahushua HaMashiach, and that should be enough for people. Because if you use, people are triggered to hear that word Christianity, right? So, that's all I say. I read the Bible. I understand. Well, not fully. None of us do, but I follow the Bible, and from what I understand, that's how I'm led. So, in the Hegelian dialectic. So let's use an example. All right. So who wants to participate with me out of you two?
I'll do it.
All right. So Brandon, you really really like chicken. All we do on this island is we eat chicken. But you like all you want, just like the word, is how it's presented. You want just the cooked chicken. I want deep fried and battered, breaded chicken. Okay, but because the island here, I'm the one who wants that deep fried, and I need to get you to allow this deep fried chicken. So, using the Hegelian dialectic, I would say, well, let's just have a discussion about it. Okay, Brandon, can we have a discussion about it? So,
yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, I would like to have this deep fried chicken with I want it breaded. And it will taste delicious. It has all these spices and all this wonderful stuff, this salt, and it's going to be the extra, and it's just going to taste a lot better.
Yeah, but we haven't ever had that here. I don't really think we need to rock the boat or change. Do you?
I think it's important to have options. And if we include this, you can always have it just the way you want it. But if someone should come, we should, you know what? I understand exactly what you're saying. And I do mostly agree with you. So instead of having the breaded, deep fried chicken, why don't we just add the spices to it? And then it's still pretty much just like how you serve it, but now we just have some spices on it, and just to give it a little different flavor. Is that reasonable?
I think that's reasonable. That's a good compromise. Compromise is a good thing.
Yeah, there we go. Hegelian dialectic. So we've taken the chicken, the way it has always been, and now we have a new way. Something new has come, and we're able to spice the chicken. But my goal, right? So now I have it spiced. So down the road, I already have this planned. Down the road, hey, we have all the spices on. That was really good, wasn't it? Well, that was really fun to have it all spicy. Well, let's bread it now. Let's try the breading. And we just do a thin coating, just a thin coating of bread, right? And then, and so each time something new is brought into the discussion, and it has completely changed the situation that you're in. So the Hegelian dialectic is basically how Dr. Judd Burton said, it's witchcraft, right? It's called the Freemasonic law of three. So you have three pillars basically, and to change a mind, 3 strikes, you're out. Baseball is highly Masonic, just so you know. So basically, the Hegelian dialectic is used to water down ever real truth has been created. So that's its whole and utter creation. And the law of three, it's been around since the antediluvian times, and it's been written down since, I think, 500 years before Yahushua HaMashiach was born. I can't remember his name. I'd have to look it up. Hereticles or something like that. Don't even look that up. It's probably way off.
No, that sounds right. That sounds right. Name, yeah.
Okay. But anyway, so that's basically the law of three. And that's what the Hegelian dialectic is. It is just a way to negotiate. So if you have so back 2,000 years ago, we knew how the Bible was read, right? We understood the demonic world, how it interacts with us, how we even understood how we could bring them about. Through child sacrifice, you create the great sin, and you continuously do the great sin to bring in the iniquity, and then the demonic then come, because then they could use you, right? So that was understood back then. And then we have the Hegelian dialectic was brought in, and someone like Dr. Judd Burton, a wonderful man, he is totally the Council of Nicaea was not anti-Christian. He's a defender of the faith. And he's right. I mean, yes. But it was also, the Council of Nicaea was also a place for the Hegelian dialectic to be used to water down the church. So yes, they were using true. It was just a step, right? So they were using a truth. They were using what made sense to organize it so that there weren't a lot of crazy people going around creating Gnostic fallacies and associating with Jesus Christ, right? Because the Gnosticism was very big. And so that was the goal, was to try to stop so it was cause, reaction, solution. So, well, this is happening, so let's do this. Right? And so that's what the Council of Nicaea was. So yes, it was created to organize the church, but then it was also used later on. So the next time you talk about it was used to water down. So the Council of Nicaea was not evil, but it was used for evil, in my view. Excuse me. Not evil.
Yes.
Not evil. What was evil has used it, and then to water down the belief structure of what the Bible says.
Yeah, I find it really interesting. I've been studying for another podcast, Crowley, and I find it interesting. One of in his Confessions, one of his book he wrote, he wanted to eradicate Protestants, and this is no offense to Catholics. I'll just caveat that he wanted to eradicate Protestants and Jews, but the Catholics were okay because they were pagan like he was. So I see in what you're talking about that continued dialectic happening and watering down the church over the years to where it became more of a pagan-based institution, versus not the church, not the universal church, the Roman Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm. No, that was clear. Yeah, that was clear. Yeah. And yeah, so you have like the saints, right? And the saints are really just the old gods. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Even their statues. I mean, they took the old statues of the old gods and said, "Hey, this is Saint Peter. This is Saint." Mm-hmm. I come from an Anglican background, so I'm familiar with a lot of So.
Yeah, I mean, and kind of what's done to it with our founding fathers here in the States too. If you've ever been to DC and seen some of those statues.
No, I haven't. I haven't been to the States in a long time.
Or Washington sitting on a throne like Zeus, and yeah, I mean, it's just obvious. They've got pantheon scenes and all sorts of stuff. It's
George Washington has been ascended into godhood in the Capitol. Yeah, under the dome, under the
apotheosis.
Yeah.
And if you understand frequency, you know why he was put there.
All right, go there. Tell us.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds good. Well, that's a really big one.
Let's chase this rabbit.
Yep.
And amazingly enough, we went there. Of course, you knew we would. So stay tuned for part 2 with Micro Futurists next week. In the meantime, though, check out our new merch shop. See link in the show notes. Thanks for listening and supporting us. And remember, stay naturally supernatural.